Everybody, welcome back to Claptrun Gaming, and today I've got a video I wanted to do immediately. Also, if you're interested in the channel, stick around to the end of the video, but let's immediately get into it. The second half of the Invincible Season 2, specifically the finale, I'm going to cover it a bit and do my thoughts. Criticism's not really a thing that I do, so I don't critique a lot. I'm not like very picky with stuff, but there's a few things I want to talk about. There's a lot of backlash, well, I say a lot, it could be a lot less, but of people not really liking Season 2 because they didn't think it fit the vibe from Season 1, and I fully understand, but I also want to dive in a bit with this and say I think the only reason it feels a lot different is because in Season 1 you always had the kind of, unless you'd read the comics, once you'd seen episode 1 of Season 1, you always thought, you know, that obviously spoilers ahead, by the way, if that wasn't obvious, but you always had the question of, why did Omni-Man kill the Guardians of the Globe? And why, you know, why would he? And so, because you had that, and the stakes were really high, you was like, when's Mark going to find out? When's Debbie going to find out? When's Cecil going to find out? You was a bit more kind of intrigued, which is why they put it in the first episode to really hook the viewers. But in Season 2 we already had that explained, so I think the vibe was overall different because there wasn't like this big kind of question hanging over people. So that's one. And second of all, I think it's because obviously now Omni-Man isn't like the villain anymore. People were really intrigued, people really liked Omni-Man as a villain, but I think, as I've not read the comics thoroughly, but I've read enough to know like the key points, and one thing I can identify is I think the rate of his character development was done a lot faster in the show than in the comics, because when Mark meets Nolan on Thraxa, things are still a bit, you know, like Nolan isn't fully again, I'll give a fucking spoiler because I already said spoilers ahead. In the show, you know that he only goes to Thraxa to help, but in the comics he goes to Thraxa with the intention of making that his new post, just to try and improve, to try and impress Viltrum. So, you know, you can immediately tell that his, you know, character development to a good person is a bit quicker in the show, because obviously as soon as he left Earth he was done with Viltrum. He was like a bit conflicted, but he was, you know, he realised that, you know, Earth had given him humanity, feelings and guilt, blah blah blah. So that's a different thing as well. I think we was introduced to a lot more villains this season. One obviously that I think the main antagonist was Angstrom Levy. He is someone who has the ability to wander dimensions, and he knows that Mark is bad in most of them. He teams up with his father. So in this one, he enters with the sole purpose, I can't remember if he's trying to recruit Mark, and he's also trying to amplify his powers with the help of the Mauler twins, but it goes wrong because he tries to save Mark and he gets bumberclatted, and he basically, you know, dies. Well, no, he doesn't die, he gets bad, but you know, he wishes he was dead. And basically he comes back after it warps his brain, it messes with him a bit, and it makes him think that Mark did it intentionally when Mark didn't do anything at all. So he makes his sole purpose to try and kill that version of Mark, and he comes back later on, obviously in the finale, with like powers, with even more. He's like a lot more enhanced. He, you know, has super strength, durability, blah blah blah, and he poses a real threat to Mark because the guy's a menace. But obviously Mark kills him. Well, okay, spoiler ahead, he isn't dead in the comics. He gets saved and brought back, and then the Viltrumite War happens, which will probably happen in Season 3, and I will drop my theories in another video. But overall, I think the second season was good. Do I think it was as good as Season 1? I think it was as good, but I don't know if it was better. again, I think because the vibes were so different and the stakes were so different, that both of them had things that the other didn't, and they fit perfectly together. But I don't know if it was better. I think another thing that a lot of people did, a lot of people didn't like, was the mid-season finale. Wait, that was fucking awful. Seeing as we'd already waited 2 years for the second season in general, to then be hit with a nearly 4-month finale, mid-season finale break, which you might know the creator of it, Robert Kirkman, who wrote the comic books, also did the same with The Walking Dead, which he also created. He did the same thing with that, where he'd like do a massive mid-season finale jump. Although I don't remember the mid-season finale for The Walking Dead ever being as long as it was for Invincible, barring a couple things that happened with COVID. But I found that really strange. I hope they don't do that again, because that was really annoying. I mean, I think Robert stated that we need a breather, which is fair enough, but not that long. I think we've probably, you know, dealt with it in a couple hours, let alone a few months. I think that was quite a bad decision, but hopefully that doesn't get done again, because no one wants to be waiting that long. But I really liked Rex's character development. I think he's, you know, since he was shot in the head, he's a lot better now. He, you know, isn't a complete twat, and he's got massive character development. We see a lot more humanity to the Immortal. We see a lot more character depth to obviously Nolan. His sequence was really sad. And by the way, I think that's a fucking amazing whenever someone does that. Obviously Robert Kirkman, who created The Walking Dead, was very good at doing that with Negan as well. Someone who's done that much bad shit, they're good at making us feel sorry for in just like not very long. We didn't actually need that long to start feeling bad for him, which I thought was crazy. Like, with what he did, and we're already being like, we're already finding ourselves sad with the 4th episode into the second season. So that was strange. But do I have any problems with the second season? Not very. I think the only thing I was a bit disappointed with was the finale. I think the sequence with him and Angstrom was perfect, but there was a few more things I wanted to see. First, I would have been a lot more satisfied had he gotten with Eve at the the end. I would have been a lot more happy if he'd have gotten with her. That's not really a big issue I have, in all fairness. It's just something that was like, oh, that's a bit sad, but whatever. And then another thing I didn't really quite like was when obviously Alan gets aboard the ship to try and save Nolan. I thought that we was going to see the breakout in the last episode, but we didn't. It's obviously going to happen, you know, next season. Which again is something I don't have a massive problem with. It gives us something to look forward to, I suppose. And I've heard that they're trying to push a new season out every year, which is great, as long as the animators aren't overworked and obviously we don't get fed trash. I'm okay with it. But yeah, I think it's just something that I really want to see, I guess. I mean, you know, things aren't really going to start getting that hyped now until Thrag's arrival. Obviously, if you're a comic reader, you know who Thrag is instantly. That name will give you PTSD. He's like the biggest menace in Invincible, alongside Battle Beast, but we've already seen Battle Beast. So, but yeah, that's basically my thoughts. I really liked every character's arc this season. Again, the two I liked the most, well, actually three. The three I liked the most were Nolan's, Alan's, and Rex's. Oh, to be fair, I do have to give some respect to Debbie though, because Debbie had a really good arc this season where she was just, you know, staying strong for her son, but at the same time she was destroyed. She missed Nolan, then Mark comes back with Nolan's new kid. You know, I can't imagine how bad that was for her, but she stood out as well. So those 4 really stood out. Mark, he was okay. He just kept getting the shit beaten out of him. Again, once he stops holding back, it's going to be sick, because obviously he's going to do a lot more damage. But yeah, those are my opinions. I hope you have enjoyed. And now for the announcements I have. Basically, me and my friends have been given access to a location. I'm not going to say where, but we've been given access to a location for a little while, and while we're there, we've got some content planned. Content being, you know, a new face-to-face episode we'll record there, a couple of the projects we've got in the oven, and finally VR, because we've never actually had a big space to do VR videos, but we will, and that means a lot more. So over this like near 2-week span of having this new location for a bit, we're going to be pumping out a lot. And yeah, basically that's all I wanted to say. Hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.